Apologies. Okay, so we are in the first activity of seeing the market, and this is the output from Perplexity. Just to recap real quick. And looking at this, if I'm not sure if this is validating or invalidating, basically not giving me the straight answer, I could just ask it. Like, looks like the hypothesis is largely not hypno, I validated. Is this correct? So you can just ask it straight question like that. Okay, I'm gonna pause now. I'm going to ask the room, are you guys seeing anything different, anything surprising?
Yeah, my response was structured differently. Like instead of having a distilled summary with concise bullet points, I still had a lot of text.
Okay.
So difficult to scan through and understand that if the hypothesis was validated or not.
So in that case, Rika, you could just like do it like what I did, like just
Yeah.
force it. Okay, distill it, give me the conclusion or something like that. Adnan, what are you seeing?
Yeah, my responses were different from both of you, it looks like. And it when I did try to force to validate the hypothesis, it told me it's partially validated and it gave me a little bit of a reason.
Mm-hmm. So which part that, okay, I'm gonna see for mine, as you can see, it says that these are the two things, not the only driver, is the reason why it's not completely validated, right? So the post-pandemic overhiring, bootcamp-driven oversupply, and general tech cost cutting. That's one. And then broad macroeconomic factor. Is that what you're saying as well?
It has the macroeconomic factor, but the other second reason it posed was the AI literacy and product
Mm.
strategy roles changing.
Mm. Interesting. Yeah, so that's an interesting thing about these AI tools. Even though we gave it exactly the same prompt, it will always give us something slightly different. But this is why it's good to ground it in the data.
Mhm.
John, what are you seeing?
Oh, I didn't do the search. I'm just looking at your screen.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, um, Angel, you can just report in, you can unmute or you can just type it in the chat. Were you able to follow along? Okay, cool. Moving along. Then the next one will be, so that's largely validated, right? So we're going to continue on with the next hypothesis, which is AI is changing the role of UX professional, UX designer in the product team. And this leads to a change in the size and structure of the UX teams. I'm going to give this, right? And again, we're going to ask it to do the same, that conduct the research, validate, blah, 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 the same thing. And then, but the last output, the format that we're asking it to show is to create a table, to show the output in a table to compare and contrast the traditional versus AI native UX team structure, the future, right? Because like something as like a table, a lot of times it's easier to scan through and to consume. Okay, let's see what we get with this. And one thing here that's important to note is that at the top, I said following up the above finding. So essentially, it's using whatever we've discovered so far as the context and the data to go further. It's also partly validated. I'm curious to hear from Adnan and Rika what you guys are getting. It's saying that reported a shift from tactical production to strategic. So that's the theme here, the first one. And then the second, kind of similar to the strategic, but I think a lot of times this is called orchestration, craft prompts, guardrails, intent capture flows. So how do we actually work with the various AI tools, the rules that we set? Yeah, and then the other one is that the expansion of the role of UX. So this is what this one is talking about, how the role of UX person is not just like a design agency or just doing design as in the visual, but it becomes a more expanded version of that, which is like we need to become to analysts as well, a little bit play the role of analyst, getting the data and then translating that into something that we can actually test, some prototyping, more robust prototyping, and then run the experiments so we can iterate faster. So this is an interesting one. 70% of executives expect AI productivity gains to let them do more with fewer designers. So smaller team size. And another one is that small cross-functional pods, so team for AI initiatives rather than centralized design department. So this is similar to what we talked about earlier. So let's see. So this is important to see what's going on in the market from the user-generated perspective. It's saying that a lot of people are experimenting with AI tools, both Lovable, GPT, etc., during design phases, integrating it into different parts of the process. The human designer becomes curator, critic, and integrator rather than producer, right? Again, orchestration, connecting the dots, seeing where, like, how we can produce the strategic value. Now, this is also interesting. I'm going to go to the table now. The direction is correct. Leaner, multi-cross-functional AI native UX team structures. So the role is expanding. The team composition, smaller hybrid roles, because we cover more grounds. They don't need as many people. And because we can produce more faster, you don't need as many people. Heavy use of generative tools for ideation for basically all the different parts of the process. Now, this is the part that I think is super important for the UX role, which is we still own the problem framing and UX quality. So at the end of the day, it's our neck on the line. And when the customers can't do things, when the users are struggling, no matter whether it's created by AI or with or without AI tools, it's still our responsibility. And also the other thing that's really important here is that the problem, even though the solutions, the technology change, the problems that we face as human beings on the very fundamental levels don't change. So we focus on that, then no matter what tools come and go, then we should be fine. And that's our competitive advantage, actually. Now I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna see if Adnan and Rika, do you see anything different from your results?
Yeah, I see very similar results especially when talking about like the table itself. So
Okay. Adnan, how about you?
Yeah, it was similar, just um, displayed differently, the structure of the response. But I think one thing that I don't know if yours talk about it, mine talked about maybe the data question, because it's so much more data driven and that being a little bit part of the role.
The data analysis becomes a big part of the role now.
Yeah, or just being aware of it, like where's the
Yep.
data? Is it accurate data? Is it governed well? Things just simple having a clean data because it's so much more relying upon that and it's going so fast that I think it mentioned like the nature of things moving fast that to kind of being aware as part of the orchestration that you're doing.
Yep. So that is actually a very important point because I'm sure that you guys are experiencing this. There's so much more slop now, and it's gonna increase. And that's a big part of that, right? The accuracy of the content and obviously data. And also, as part of our role in getting the product moving faster, we need to rely on the data to make decisions so we can iterate faster, but not in a random way, but in an informed way that could actually deliver the strategic value. So it goes back to that connection with the strategic value that the designers need to play. Now, like we need to like deliver that strategic value. Okay, moving on. The next thing is now, personally, I've been seeing this role called staff product designer or founding designer. Since this is something that we could just ask it, is this related? I don't know if you guys seeing this, if you're seeing other roles, I guess like the title could also put it in. No, it's interesting. It's this the job description for staff product designer increasingly pair org level scope with explicit AI expectations. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to this. How this ties back to the team size and structure. This person is mid to senior designer and product teams to be more lean, smaller number of staff level ICs to get direction, pattern, quality bars. This allows the team to be smaller and still deliver value. So what this means is that instead of hiring a team of designers, companies are looking to hire a one-person team who will play the role of, let's say, 2 or 3 designers in the traditional team structure. Because the role is expanding and also it's moving much faster and multiplied by these AI tools. We need to play these multiple roles now. And as part of this, well, actually, let me ask also again, Adnan, Rika, do you see anything different? Are you getting something else or anything surprising?
No, just in the back of my mind, I'm just, as a UX person, product person, I'm just thinking about what it's like being the sole designer on a team, promoting design maturity. Like, what does this mean for long-term trends and having design teams and that grow?
Mm-hmm.
That's just in the back of sorry, it's not what you asked me, but
No, that's great because that's the kind of conversation that we want to have, right? So let's get to the place where we have this, I guess the discovery, and then we'll talk about that. But let's put a pin on that. But sounds like you're seeing something very similar to what I'm seeing.
yes.
Okay. And Rika, how about you?
Yeah, I'm seeing similar to more strategy and less executive work kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so based on this, I asked Claude to create some kind of like simple visualization. I'll share this with you guys. So essentially the left column is the traditional UX team, as you can see, and this one is the future AI native. See at the top, the team size, 25 team members, 8. And I'm gonna explain this, the legend. The black is leadership, blue manager, super IC, which is what we just discover is the staff designer kind of position, is the purple, senior, red, mid, green, yellow, junior. The yellow is getting destroyed as probably expected. And I believe there is a path for the junior as well, but we can, set that aside for now. What's interesting here, what I want you guys to notice is the blue. There are 3 blues here, no blue, no people manager. So the first one that got destroyed is actually people managers. That's the first layer that got destroyed. Okay. And then we still have the mid-level and then senior level, but then this is the new one. So the blue is getting replaced by the purple. And then the specialist becoming less. In this case, probably we don't need as many because we have a lot of these different AI tools that can do that. So that's an interesting direction that I think this is going. It doesn't mean that we don't need designers, but I think more and more these green and blue and red and yellow will become the purple. They expect these to move towards the purple, which makes sense because essentially it's running one person can run the entire thing and it's much faster, no handoff, right? And again, like what Adnan said, what does that mean for the future of the UX role in the company? We'll discuss that a little bit later. But I want you guys to have this. And I just want to get the reaction real quick. What are your thoughts on this? Was this surprising at all?
I'm seeing this exact thing happen right now.
Yeah, it's not surprising, but it's still kind of uncomfortable for me to see this, honestly. Where is this going? But seeing this in a way also allows us to prepare and position ourselves, right? So I'm going to give you guys one more prompt. This is really for your own learning and development to position yourself, right? What it is that create a rubric to evaluate candidates for staff designer's position, then rate the candidate based on their portfolio side. This and LinkedIn page. You can adjust this, but essentially, this is a way for you to just plug in your LinkedIn and portfolio site. And then even better if you could find an actual job postings online to test this against and have the AI help you rate your readiness for this and how to position yourself to win. With that, let's just chat a little bit and I can tell you, well, let me just tell you about the course, get out of the way and we can chat. If you want to go deeper into the whole AI stuff, orchestration, agentic stuff, not just the high level using ChatGPT to create usability test script, which is useful. We want to go deeper. Then I'm teaching a course starting January 6th. And we go deep into the first half is working with AI to multiply our productivity so we can move faster, so we can multiply ourselves and become that one-man person or one-woman person, right? One-person team. And then the second half of that, we'll be applying that to design AI native products. What does that mean? Because there are products that I'm sure you guys are seeing that just slap AI on it. Like Zoom is one of them. It's not necessarily AI native. It benefits from AI feature, but it's not AI native. What does it mean to design an AI native product? So by the end, you have a portfolio project that you can show to position yourself as the leader in this area. To, as I said in the beginning, the mission is to position ourselves to dominate, to shape the conversation of the role of designers, which is related to what Anand asked, to have the seat at the table and shape the value that the role to deliver the value that we want to deliver for the companies. With that, so this is the QR code. Let me just give you the URL for it. If you're interested, we have a couple more spots available still. It's going to be small cohort, just 10 people. So it's very human, very connected live sessions. With that, let's discuss what Adnan brought up. Adnan, would you mind just I guess asking that question again or I guess presenting that problem again that's bothering you?
I'm trying to remember. I think in short, I was just trying to see what the future holds as far as team growth, team structure, roles and responsibilities, I think that's what I was saying.
Okay. So now I'm curious to hear, since you said that you've been seeing this, like the structure change in your job, right? Can you expand a little bit more on that? Like, what are you seeing? What have you been seeing?
Yeah, just not just in my workplace, but just speaking to local networks and stuff. And I've always been trying to help people, especially junior designers, find jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And it certainly does. I do see a couple of things. One is the struggle the junior designers are having in getting a job because of that connection to low level mock-ups and all that being done by AI.
Mm-hmm.
So that is making them difficult to get in
Yep.
in the first place. And then second is I do see a lot of UX design managers kind of losing their power in the sense.
Yep.
But one thing that I think I didn't see in our research was how product managers, the traditional product managers,
Mm-hmm.
how they are kind of taking that over, right? So you kind of remove that people manager from the UX team.
Mm-hmm.
The product manager or product owner that used to be there is kind of doing that role in a way. Because traditionally, I think, I don't know about you all, you see the UX design manager might do a little bit of design ops, road mapping,
Yep.
etc. Right? And then I think now that's all being kind of transferred over to the product manager, and the product manager is doing some of the UX stuff with the help of AI.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Rika, are you seeing something similar?
Oh yeah, this is very similar. And also like PMs taking more user researcher kind of roles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not completely satisfied with how they do it, but yeah, if like the company doesn't have the resources to hire user researchers, then they're the one who take the load kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm. So that is aligned with what I've been seeing. There is a big turf war between product managers and UX because let's be honest, right? we can do the product. To do product manager work is not that hard, to be honest. It's for some people, connecting the dots with the strategic value is harder, getting the data, like what we talk about data analysis and all these things. But the AI tools can help us with that. And they're realizing that. But on the flip side, they're thinking that, oh, we can all product managers can also start prototyping, doing user research like that. And they've been doing that anyways, right? For like the people who come from a startup world, they've been doing user research anyways as product managers or founders. So the two are merging. And the third part that's merging with this role is obviously the front end development, particularly the prototyping part. But just like with the slop that get produced by a lot of these vibe coding tools for the developers, the user research slop, I believe, is going to become a thing. User insight slop. Like what Rika, what you said, how you're not very happy or satisfied, not happy, very satisfied with the way they do research, is because I'm sure that you realize that there are some things that could be done better, right? So there's like the quality issue there. So the slop will not just be produced by the AI, but also by the human who are careless, empowered by AI. That's where this is going. That said, though, the fact that they are doing more research is actually a net positive, in my opinion. And that's where the role is, I mean, not the role, our industry is going. And I do believe that designer will become more and more important if we know how to position yourself as like producing the value and aligning with the business. So I'm gonna pause there. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I also did see um, product managers doing research where, to be fair to them, they don't have that true UX research background or learning or teaching experience. So, they the quality is not up to par and it's hard to kind of digest. However, I agree that, it is another person who is joining, whether they like it or not, um, doing UX activities like research. So it maybe over some time, you know, we would know each other's pain and understand how to do proper UX interviews, etc. It's hard to know the future, but I think that, you know, uh, I feel like AI is accelerating this traditional view that we hold, or I will say that I hold in myself, where you have a title and you kind of have a responsibility. People know when to go to you for what. And
Mm-hmm.
it feels like with these readily available tools, the organization is saying, we want people who can do multiple things,
Mm-hmm.
um, and not be boxed in. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. Like boxed in can kind of also be comforting to be able to know what role, what you do at the table, what's your job at the table. But now if everybody's like doing musical chairs,
Mm-hmm.
um, unless you have good team vision and maybe understanding of each other, like at least be able to say like kind of like I don't know what it was called when the Saturn cars were made, right? You had seven people make the car, they would rotate. So it didn't matter who got sick, all seven knew how to do the job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's going towards that in a way. Let me wrap up. Sorry, I'm blabbering. I I'm seeing that I'm exploring, at least personally myself, how do I put forward in front of senior people that, hey, don't fire me in this day of layoffs these days. I will be able to take on whatever task you give me in this AI world because I'm willing to learn, and then balance that with like, well, how much can I learn? How much skills and knowledge to a certain quality level can I do? I hope I'm making sense. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the part that you highlighted that's really important in terms of, so what are we going to do about this? Like, how can we actually implement this in a practical way, right? Understanding what's going on. The big thing is the vision part, right? You mentioned that, like, where is this going? What's going to happen next? And in terms of vision essentially is just painting a version of reality that you desire, right? So it's like, okay, I want the world where dot 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 designer has a seat at the table. That's about, a vision, right? Now, a vision for if you wanted to influence the stakeholders, it depends on who they are, right? The let's say the head of products is responsible for the team layoff, who's on the chopping block or who's to hire, right? Uh, we need to paint a picture for them, the vision that is beautiful for them that they want. That what this is not the part that's really important, in my opinion, that they can also describe to their boss and they look good. Because at the end of the day, that's what they care about. In corporation, they want to look good so that, and that story could be my team is using AI and they increase productivity by blah, blah, blah. So what is that story that we're giving them, right? And then the second part of that is knowing what metric that we're responsible for. Like the whole thing with like the personnel is interchangeable is good on paper or theoretically, but then when things break, no one is responsible. That's just a disaster for the company, right? For organization. And as the manager, if they could say that Adnan, I know that you own this. For example, like I heard a story about Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, having over 60 direct hires. And some of them don't talk to him for months, but they deliver. They're like the the top company in the world now. They deliver like so fast because he is very careful in hiring and he know when he gives somebody a responsibility, he know that how to keep them accountable. So I think that those two things, interestingly, it's not about the AI, it's about the human side. And this is what we actually excel in. And one way that I, again, now going even deeper on the tactical level, in that where, let's say, a product manager started doing research and we know it's not good enough, what if we actually help them to get better? Help push them to actually deliver better quality research by, for example, they do this research and instead of making them feel bad that it's not good enough, then encourage them to say, okay, this is working, this is working. Maybe if we have more time, we could do this other thing. So we could have this other, basically a positive reinforcement. Maybe then we can go deeper into this area. Or another way is to also make them aware of the potential, I guess, holes or gaps in their research that could make them look like an idiot in front of their bosses if being asked. So if you're being that colleague, of course, they're gonna want more of that, right? And you're gonna have more influence. Now, the hard part with this is what Adnan mentioned earlier about how for the longest time we have this box. This is your role, this is your responsibility, this is what you should do, and you get credit for that, and then somebody else do other thing and they take credit for our work. That just feels not good. I think that's the part that we should start to embrace, be okay with that. If somebody is doing the traditional UX job, if you will, but it's advancing our agenda, That's good. That said, we still need to position ourselves as you are the man or the woman, you're the research guy, or you're the user guy, whatever, the expert in something. That's how we become, I think, indispensable in companies. We need to show that value. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I agree. Thank you.
Rika, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But this is another thing that I think we as product designers, UX designers can also think about is like how do you use AI more sustainably? I don't think anyone talks about this, but like I'm seeing the adoption rate of AI is so high, but then it's like you're using it so often, and it also is associated with the cost, right? Like all these credits and all is not free anyway. So yeah, just a sideline, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that is the fact that you're thinking about it is something that you could use as a positioning strategy, right? Sustainability is a thing because if people just using it willy-nilly and like they don't know how to use it in a way that makes sense and deliver real value, they're gonna get burned out. The company get burned out, and all the credit's gonna get burned. And this is why the MIT study says that 95% of Gen AI initiatives fail so far, right? I think that came out like a few months ago. So if you're the champion of this, and we know there's an interesting dilemma now in many companies where the C-level execs, almost all of them, I would say, yeah, almost all of them say that everybody needs to start using AI. But at the same time, they're saying that, well, but we need to make sure that we don't expose ourselves to issues with like our proprietary data getting blah blah blah, and they don't allow people to use different AI tools, and or they don't give the guidelines on what to use, how to use it. But they use the metrics of using AI in performance reviews. So this goes back to your point that like, okay, then how can this be sustainable? Like there is no back to that whole vision. Also, what is the vision when everybody uses AI? What does that look like? Now, I believe that in a time of uncertainty and when there's a vacuum, there's an opportunity because that is literally what we do. We help turn vision into reality. If you think about it, that's our job. There's like a nebulous thing. Oh, we want to increase this, da 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 da. I'm like, okay, what is the problem? Who is the user? We do research, we make it more concrete, create persona, and then we define the problem, more concrete, and the solution with user flow, more concrete, wireframe, prototype, more concrete until the actual thing, right? From nebulous vision to concrete. We heard the cats. It's the same game, just on a different level where we apply it to hurt the cats in a different way. Like essentially, we can lead the adoption of different AI tools to help our colleagues, not just within the product team, but outside also. We model it. Now the question is, I think I'm going to leave you guys with this so that I don't just ramble forever. The box that Adnan mentioned. I'm sure that you guys have the box in mind that you occupy. Is that the box that you want to stay in? If you get to redesign it, right? Because you're designers, you get to redesign it. What would that box be? That's what I'm gonna leave you with.
Thank you, Danny. Yeah, I think that's a question I have in my head why I joined this session today. It was part of my exploration as I'm looking around. So I really appreciate your teachings today, your sharing of your knowledge, and I'm going to go back and put in some more prompts and Perplexity and try to see what I can find out. One thing that I don't know about Eureka, but I'm also like looking into like what are what are the new roles in AI, and maybe because I may not be knowing like what are some interesting growth in this industry, you know, some new things maybe even.
Mhm.
Because I just got reminded because of what you said about sustainability and cost, and I even saw some roles on search engines. They were like the responsible AI expert, you know, someone who's like just make sure data is secure, it's governed well, and they basically just measure the cost. And by cost, meaning how much the tools cost in the organization, but also the power usage cost.
Mhm.
So that was an interesting title and job description. I was like, whoa, what?
So,
I think every company should have one.
well, maybe not just one, right? Maybe more than maybe it's an agent, maybe I don't know, maybe not a person. But I think the one thing that I want to plus one from what you said, Adnan, is that continue doing research because this is also something that we know how to do, right? And do research from both sides of the problem, the demand side, which is these like job market, what the job postings, but also start producing things and talk about it to signal to the world, this is what I care about, and see what you attract by creating the signal. If you're creating the signal about like sustainability, then you're going to attract people who care about that, and you may actually start seeing things that lead to opportunities there that hasn't been created yet. So that's the opportunity that's exciting, actually. We get to, and also scary, we get to design our future. We get to design the role in a way.
Yeah, I agree. No, that you have sparked a lot of thought. I need to go away and go for a walk, and I really appreciate the more wood in the fire, so to speak. Thank you so much.
Good thing. Okay.
Thank you. And
Okay. Have a good one, guys. Have a great New Year's, and let's stay connected.
of course.
Thank you. Happy New Year to both of you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye.